How you doing, everyone? Just wanted to reach out again to you today, just to say hi, see how everybody's doing. I've been walking outside today. It's a little bit humid over here in Long Island, New York. But today I had a couple of things on my mind. I wanted to talk about, I guess, us, the black sheep of the family, the ones that have always known there's something odd going on, something different. We don't follow the norms. We don't walk in that single file the way we were taught when we were young. I don't know what it is, but there is something inside of me. Yeah, I can't really define it with the words and the knowledge that has been given to me because I can't prove that any of those words or knowledge is true. But I will use those words, for instance, divinely guided, divine, special, source, godlike. There's something special inside all of us. I've known that my whole life. I've been watched my entire life by my family because I've always been spot on. I've always been able to call everything as it is from since I was young, like 2, 3 years old. My mother used to fear that. She used to get scared a lot because she couldn't understand how I would know so much and not be an adult or have enough experience to be in the world to know these things. I don't I don't know how many of us have it, but I used to follow Catholicism and they had this number, 144,000 people going to be saved. I never really believed that because there's too many people in the world for 144,000 for God to choose, Hey, just these. So I thought more along the lines that there are 144,000 that can save the world. 144,000 that definitely have a inner divine guidance, enough to awaken other divine guidances inside other people, maybe their guidance system, maybe their divine spirit. I know there was a story that we're all created in this special image, godlike image. Okay, so if we are, that means there's something beautiful in my spirit. We also know that the third eye is connected to that spirit. So we know that anything that comes from here going down throughout the body, inside of our body, is a divine spirit or a divine attachment to spirit. There are people that I don't know, and there are people that I just gotten to know. And I notice that they see something special in me. They always have. Sometimes they don't even want to say it, but they definitely feel it or sense it or see it. The more and more they get to know me and they hear my testimonies, they realize how powerful I really am, how special I really am. I believe my calling was always to walk this earth just finding out the truths and the lies and a little bit of what our power entails. Now, I have found that according to me, according to what I've experienced, not according to what you experienced. But I've been born and raised in the United States, New York, went to the military for a few years, and then after that lived in Europe and traveled and had a career playing baseball between Japan and Europe, so I got to travel to all these countries for about, I want to say, maybe about 17, 19 years, somewhere in between there. And I've gotten to meet so many different people. I was a 70s child, you can say, because I was born in 69, so I was raised throughout the 70s. I got to see the best of the 80s. I got to see the silent 90s. And I've got to see the 2000s. But my generation, Generation X, we've seen so much. And I've sat down with a lot of Generation X's. And I guess we could say we're in agreement with everything that we saw. We witnessed a lot of things coming to fruition. Plastics, toys, because we didn't have that many toys. We had a small amount, mostly Lincoln Logs or something like that, or spirograph or Etch-a-Sketch. That came later on, but we didn't have too much. And our parents before that, they also didn't have anything. They might have had dolls and yo-yos. But our great-grandparents had absolutely nothing. So in this small amount of time, I've noticed that in a half a century, so much has happened. Diseases started to plague the earth. Disorders started to plague the earth. Different ways of life started to plague the earth. When I did my research when I was young in high school, I always liked the 1900s and a little bit earlier, the history before that. But the 1900s, that was something I always researched. And I noticed that in the 1930s, we already had electrical cars. We never had batteries. You had this wind-up car. It would go from New York to California in one shot. And they had all these world fairs everywhere. These world fairs were all electrical. When I went over to Europe, I started to see that the evidence was still lying in place. Here in the United States, they tore those down as fast as possible and then created something different, implemented the suburbs and the housing system. And over in Europe, yeah, they did have the suburbs and housing system, but they did have a lot of farms and a lot of land. And this land was so open, you would believe that there was enough around the world for everyone to live, eat, feed, drink. Because I've traveled to 68 countries and I've seen that those 68 countries are not totally packed. The cities are. The towns are. But I've always been able to discern things and see through things. A lot of times when I sit there with my generation, we sit there in agreement as to all the things that have happened. But then, again, I sit there in awe because I realize, wow, all these people that I sit there and I speak to about the situation, we realize that when we were young, the presidents before us were always talking about a corporation that was trying to infiltrate the government. The history spoke about how the government infiltrated the religious system. And then we started going to check all these rabbit holes to find out that it was always somebody sponsoring and rewriting the history, and that was coming from a hidden position, like the silent partner's position. Corporations were not that large. They became humongous, and they took over a lot of the mother and father stores and everything that we saw in our generation that was perfect for us. It was an abundance. We were in abundance in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We didn't have to worry about anything. We still had freedom. 1990s, it started to really disappear. 2000s, it's gone. And not only in New York, but everywhere. All the continents I've been in, all the countries I've been in, freedom is just being taken away. So you have to put your thinking cap on and ask yourself, is why is there 7 continents and there's a global kakistocracy, a global cabal running it all? How did we go from 5 to 7 vaccines to 60 or 70, whatever the amount is right now, infecting children? Why are the cancers and ailments and diseases and disorders that weren't awakened or alive yet since I was young and the days of Jerry Lewis and muscular dystrophy? What happened to all of that? What happened? Was it that we were just so naive and we started not to care and be unhealthy? Or was there a diabolical plan? Of course there was a diabolical plan. We're just not part of it. Our great-grandparents already told us and tried to guide us, or guide my parents, into teaching us the right ways. Keeping our, how can I describe it best? Keeping our abilities to live off the land, fend for ourselves, grow our own gardens, hunt, fish, survive. But they were always in a survival mode. And then if you're from my generation and you see what happened in the last 40 years, you definitely see that there was a horrible system that was put into place, and this horrible system just took off. You know, we didn't really have TVs. You know, we didn't really have much. We definitely didn't have internet. Internet didn't really come into fruition until like the 1990s, and then all of a sudden everything just started to change very quickly. And if you do the math, you realize that there's something really, really wrong. And if you were able to travel the 68 countries where I went to and watch Europe build itself, watch America build itself, watch Britain build itself, and then watch all of the freedoms be taken away very quickly. I saw that when I was in Australia. I thought that was a place that was conquered by the British and the French, and I thought that, all right, this is a place where, you know, people probably live happy, which they were at one point. But then all of a sudden now they're under lock and key with everything. Digital currency, lack of freedom, no freedom of speech. Their police officers are worse than our police officers. American police officers could be kind of tough, you know, especially what you see on the news. I mean, I have some friends that are police officers, so I've never seen them like that, you know, and I've never experienced them like that. But TV paints a nice picture, you know. It tells you a vision and you envision it. And if you notice everything that's happening, maybe you'll wake up a little faster. Because I know this woke generation is not really a woke generation. You know, woke, to me, I've said on the videos, you know, when you're sleeping and all of a sudden you just, oh, I'm up. All right, time to eat, or time to wash, or time to go to school, or time to... That's woke. Awaken is more like on my level, you know, where we're sitting there, we're navigating through life, and we can pull the string to a lot of these rabbit holes. I don't want to sit there and explain it to you because I know you're going to sit there and defend yourself with some odd years that you lived wherever you lived, because I know you did not travel to the places I've traveled in the last half century. I know that your information comes from the television, and most of mine comes from pure raw experience around the world. So I won't sit there and battle you. I've had people around me that had mental challenges and physical challenge, so I would probably treat you more like that person that has physical challenge or mental challenge when you sit there and try to fight me on whatever it is that I bring to the table for you. I never bring anything to the table for you to want to fight me. I just want to see if I can broaden your perception, enhance your perception. Because most of us live in this box. And when you live in a box most of your life, and there's someone that lives outside of the box, do you know what it sounds like? It's not as clear as me speaking to you right here. If you're living in that box, it sounds more like, so it's very difficult for you to understand anything from me. And it's also difficult for you to understand if I'm saying it with aggression, or if I'm saying it with kindness, or with spirit. Because you living in a box, I would have to yell. So you probably won't understand anything living in that box. Now, I've met a lot of people that do not live in the box. So if we do the math, they say 7.5 billion people in the world. 1% of those rule you. 75 million, okay. So 75 million are the billionaires. And we also have, and that's 1%. Then we have another 1% that they used to say when I was young, that there's only 1% that needs to stand up in this world for anything to change. And we have those 1%. Then we have another set of 1%. That's the ex-military that are sitting here in the States, especially in New York, that are homeless. That's another 1%. Then you have a couple of groups of people of 1% that could stand up, but none of us stand up together. You know, you have the truth seekers, the truth world. There's so many of us, and so many of us finding out the truth, but each one of us are stuck on one direction. You know, none of us are coming together with all of it. Who cares what the information is? Toss it to the side. Who cares whoever you think your enemy is? Toss it to the side. Because there's a 1% that really don't care about you. And the 7.5 billion are sitting here wondering if they're going to receive a superhero that's going to change the world for them. And they're not. I know that because I've never had a superhero change the world for me. I came from a family that did not care for their older brother, which was me. I cared for them every step of the way because we had a horrible father. He was very hands-on, very strong. I think I was taking my beatings in the womb, and it just kept on going until I was 16. Got to a point where I said it's time to join the military, get a little stronger, and see what I can do. And that moment that I joined the military, I thought, you know what, I'm going to come back looking for him. I'm going to put him in his place, and I'm going to make sure he never touches us again. The divine spirit, God, spirituality, me being a black sheep, they took care of me, you know. That man that was just so harsh, his heart was taken away from him and gave him a pacemaker. He was given 3 in total before he passed. And on his deathbed, he wouldn't even acknowledge his oldest son, the only one that he beat to a pulp for years, because I wouldn't let him touch my brothers and sisters the way he touched me. Of course, he did, you know, get to them every once in a while if I wasn't there or I wasn't around. But if I was there, he couldn't. I was more the adult than my mother. And there were many times that we could have been protected from him, but my mother turned a blind eye. And as you have it, you never wish these things on people, but I left to the military. Then I went out to Europe, started to live out there, started to travel, started to play ball. And when I finally came home, I realized my mother lost that eye she turned. You know, she went blind in one eye. Had an accident working for security at school, just lost it. A kid just cut her eye, and next thing you knew, lost it. No matter what, I've always walked in my good character. I loved my father, mother, brothers, and sisters, no matter what they did. And my family has done a lot to me. My brothers stole everything I've owned. And they still do. After my father passed, they um, kind of stole whatever inheritance was for all of us, so that they can start their own business. Here I am wishing them the best, because I do not worry about those small things, because I know what God has given me. I've always been divinely guided, but I know that they've been jealous their whole lives. The moment that I left, my discernment, when I came home, I let one of my brothers know, I know exactly the problem here. You guys feel that I abandoned you, and you don't realize what I went through protecting you guys. And when I knew that our father never could hurt us anymore, and our mother couldn't lie about it anymore, it was time for me to take my vacation and go find out who I am. So I did. And I became a protector. First for my brothers and siblings, then for my country. And then I went out to Europe and I started to protect whoever, the lost, the children, the runaways, homeless, didn't matter who. If you on the street, you got a hug from me, a love, you got a little bit of cash, I'd always bring you something. Only because I could. I was blessed, always blessed. And then when I came back here to the States, I really had to learn how powerful I was, because I forgot how blessed I was until the opportunity came to me where I was able to be in this surroundings here. And this is just to tell you that even though most of us have been black sheeps of the family back in those days, we are powerful, bright lights. And I don't see myself as a sheep. If anything, I could howl at the moon and howl at the sun. Throughout the years, as I grew up, I noticed that there were human beings on this planet, and these human beings all of a sudden transferred into something else. Some of them became wolves. Some of them, those wolves became divine lights. Some of those divine lights became light workers, healers. Otherwise, you'll have parrots, sheep, pigs, and wolves. And the parrots will parrotize any epidemic at any time. Oh, they said, eat 2 loads of crap and you'll be healed the next morning. And you have them. There's a lot of those. And a lot of pigs. Oink, oink. Now the pigs and the sheep, there are many. So if there's 7.5 billion of us, there are many. And if the parrots are the only ones to fly and the rest are on all fours, it's very difficult to see a wolf because they walk low to the ground. But they keep their head straight forward and their eyes roaming. So I just want to reach out to you and tell you guys that, especially the chosen ones, especially the awakened ones, that it's time for us to stand. Only 1% is needed. to stand up against all these organizations that have been trying to enslave us, destroy us, hurt us. And there's been a war on all things biological, all elements, all species, you name it. And all of these elements used to be free. You can go out into nature for free. You can go out to the water for free. You know, you can go anywhere, but not anymore. Everything costs money, and now they have this woke. Can't even understand it. I mean, I have to roll my eyes with the woke because I'm just like, if you're yawning, yeah, you just awoke. Sure. Go shower, throw some water on your face, wake yourself up. You're not awakened yet. But the ones that are, let's start reaching out. Let's start uniting. Let's start getting together. Because there's a lot of us. You know, there's a couple of chat groups, you know, that are universal. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about, you know, like the Facebooks and the YouTubes and stuff like that. You know, there are other ones, and you could reach out to people from different countries that are going through the same exact thing. Right now, we're all struggling. Everything is skyrocket high. Your food, your water, your rent, you name it. But it's time for us, the people, to stand by the people. I hope this really reaches y'all today. You know, I hope it touches something in here and wakes up something in here, because that divine spirit that you have is special. And it really is time for us to unite. So I just want to reach out to you guys. When you go out tomorrow, today, show a smile. Greet someone. Talk about anything kind, anything nice. I mean, you don't have to sit there and talk about the government. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on, you know, and there are a lot of things you can awaken yourself to. But there are other means of information that are not the mainstream and that are not social, that you are able to gain information and help yourself truly awaken. I hope one day we'll see each other together, party, enjoy a nice picnic or party in the park, but all of humanity. Because there is only one humanity, one culture, and one family. The system that was created to make us believe in entertainment, economics, labor, education, labor, law, religion, politics, sex, and more. Those 9 are the system that we are under attack 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's funny, we have 9 planets, 9 on those systems, 9 holes in our body. That number 9 is so special. And we all come from a number 9. We ever see a woman when she's pregnant, she looks like a number 9, upside down, with that pregnant belly. All of us are special. And we come here with a spiritual signature and a physical signature that nobody else has. No one has your blueprints. Nobody has your fingerprints. No one has your retinal prints. No one has your footprints. No one has your birthday, time of birth. There's something special about each and every one of you. And the puzzle of humanity is every single person on this planet. You're a piece of that puzzle. So come and join humanity. Come put us together. I just want to tell you I love you guys in Lakesh.